Ryan, how you doing? It's been a while since we talked.
We're surviving.
We're surviving. I was surviving in Hawaii last week. Um,
Yeah, not living quite that large.
Not well, living large. Hawaii's expensive, by the way. I don't know last time you were there, if ever. Not cheap.
Just once, and thankfully I was not in charge of the checkbook.
Right? Were you little? Is that what it was?
No, it was for a movie. So
Oh, lucky you.
very lucky me.
Yeah, no. Well, lucky me. I was spending my 32nd anniversary out there, so that was it was great. It was great. 5 days in state, with a really long day at each end to go and come, but worth it by the time it was all said and done. But we are back. We are back to the grind. We have movies to watch. We have movies to talk about.
Yeah, it's strangely, I mean, it's getting a little busy.
It is getting a little busy. I have a bunch of little indies I have to watch this weekend, but those are not the ones we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a movie that opens tomorrow.
Yeah,
for us right now. Um, and I dropped my written review on it. I'm fairly certain you already had to write something up and post it, but we're going to talk about it because I hope we're on the same page about this film. And it is from first time feature director Graham Moore, who won an Oscar for writing The Imitation Game, the Benedict Cumberbatch wonderful film. This one is not The Imitation Game. This is called The Outfit, and it is about a not tailor, as he says so many times.
He's a cutter.
He's a cutter. He cuts fabric and he makes beautiful suits. In Chicago, Illinois, in 1956, the height, well, not quite the height, but still in the heyday, if you will, of the mobster / gangster type organized crime action. Mark Rylance plays Leonard, who came over from England, where he learned his craft on Savile Row, a place I know you've been at least once.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what like shopping is like there, but
well, I didn't buy anything
because it's Savile Row.
Well, I was, and it was Christmas, and I was more that they decorated up pretty.
Well, there you go.
That's nice. At least that's my most recent memory of that adventure.
Yes, but Savile Row, where all of the great tradespersons, what I believe he says that's a quarter mile of the best craftsmen out there. So,
and if he says so, we'll just say
we will take him at his word. But he comes to Chicago and he opens his own shop, and he winds up making suits for anyone that will pay. But he is the preferred cutter for the Boyle crime family. This becomes a crime thriller drama kind of action. Mark Rylance, as I may or may not have said earlier, is our lead. Was in Dunkirk as the only part of the movie that I liked, who was the civilian sea captain. He was in Ready Player One as the reclusively dead computer genius.
Bridge of Spies.
Bridge of Spies, for which he won an Oscar.
Yeah.
Don't
Look Up.
Was he in Don't Look Up? I still haven't watched that one yet. But I guess he's a well. I mean, he won an Oscar, so this is going to sound weird. He's very well respected as a stage actor, apparently.
He's a damn good actor.
And I said that coming out. I was like, he might not be. No longer. I don't think he's just one of the best stage actors of right now. I think he's one of the finest actors I've ever seen. Because this film, I mean, if you go and read our respective write-ups, you'll see what we like about it. So let's just talk about this film for a second. How ridiculously good is he in this movie?
Good enough that regardless of what is around him, that it's worth seeing. And that
Uh,
and let me say that that's not because what's around him isn't any good. Even if the movie and everything about it was terrible,
mhm.
you'd want to see it just for him.
I, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I've watched it twice now. I caught a screening last night, but I also had a screener that I watched on Monday. I watched it Monday, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to see it again." Last night in the theater. That's how good it is. I Yeah, we can talk about what's around him. Um, that cast
And to be
includes Dylan
clear,
O'Brien, who's not
no,
necessarily an acting powerhouse.
no, but to be well, and Zoe Deutch, but I mean, just to be completely honest, I mean, or I don't, it's not really being honest, but it's not that anyone else isn't that good in it. Everyone's fine.
Yeah,
And it's I mean, there are aspects of the story that I think are really quite interesting, and it's checks off all your traditional gangster boxes, if there were gangster film boxes to be
sure.
checked off, but it's really not like many gangster films that you've seen before. It's far more intimate, maybe. You're basically in one location for the entire film.
You're in the shop. Yeah,
Uh,
it's basically a
so
chamber piece.
yeah,
Uh,
and
which
it's
I
yeah,
think it plays to his. I hate to say his strengths, because clearly his strengths is whatever he wants it to be, but his background as a stage actor. I
absolutely,
think that
yes,
helps, which only makes this performance just so much better. But you're right; it's not a traditional gangster movie, in that the gangsters are almost secondary, because everything happens through him, and he is not a gangster. He's the observer. I love um, Graham Moore. This is his directing debut. He has an Oscar for writing. It shows in
sure.
in this script. I literally loved everything about this movie. I loved the sets. I loved the camera movements. I loved his voiceover work. And you know how we normally feel about voiceover work here. Normally it's terribly bad and horrible. And here it makes so much sense. And it's so much a part of his performance. And it explains so much of what is going on without you realizing it until it's too late.
Sure.
And then you're like, oh, he totally, we should have seen that. But it's not so ham-fisted afterwards that you're really angry at yourself. You're just like, oh, you can see it all. And if hindsight is 2020, you have it at the end of this. You're just like, oh my God. And it's just, for me, I just thought it was just a beautifully constructed piece. And then you throw this ridiculously nuanced performance from Mark Rylance into it, and it's just like, I said in my written review that it is the worst thing about this film is that it's being released right now, and that's because this year's awards season isn't even over yet. And so I literally, I'm going to hammer this for the rest of the year so that people don't forget about this film and this performance for next year, because that would be a crime. I honestly, I do believe that. I think it would be a crime if this thing gets forgotten about come next December, November, December, when all this awards talk kicks off again. But no, the surrounding cast is good. Yeah, Zoe Deutch is good. Dylan O'Brien, he's okay. I mean, he's competent in the role they give him, but he's playing a very specific role. Johnny Flynn is, I didn't recognize him from Emma. That's how different he was.
Sure.
But Simon Russell Beale is Roy Boyle, the crime boss. It's just so well constructed. So, and I think the intimacy of the one set, all it does really is, for all it did for me really was ratchet up the tension, because you had 3 rooms, but
Sure.
they're all connected, and you're barely
And
in the receptionist room.
I was going to say there's one you're hardly ever in, so it's mostly
Yeah.
a 2-room sort of thing.
Yep.
Um, I actually got to talk to some of the cast on this one, not Mark, unfortunately, but this was because of the way it's structured. They filmed it in order. It was linear, which is unusual for a
Right.
film. Um, but
But in
you know,
that setting, it almost makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. So they didn't, generally a film is shot out of order based on where the locations are or the time period, and you shoot everything together, however the cheapest and easiest way
Right.
to do that. And so you'll have actors shooting the final scene of a movie for the very first scene that they shoot and things like that it happens. And but they always enjoy something where they're not having to think, okay, where on the story am I in this scene? How in love are we or aren't we? Or
Right.
so yeah, and obviously this sort of film that was kind of tailored to be shot during the pandemic. Um, so small cast, few people on, in the room at the same time, and
Yeah. And
I almost would like to see it as a play. I think it might be the tension might get ratcheted up a little even more as a play. Um, but I think it works just fine as a film as well.
yeah, and the fact that I didn't realize they shot it in sequence again, that that you're effectively now you're watching a play, which again just feeds. I mean, it does keep everyone's emotions and mental states a lot more, I don't want to say accurate, I want to say consistent.
Well, you don't have
um
to worry about it. I mean,
yeah.
it's you just don't have to think about that element of it. You just, and it's not like it was shot in one day.
No.
It's still shot over a period of time. But uh, yeah, I like it because it's different. And again, it checks off. You have what egos and rivalries and people jockeying for better position, and
Yep.
no one is what they seem. And that's another thing that actually one of the things I really like about the film is that pretty much every first impression you have is wrong,
Yep.
and that's kind of neat. That's it's not unusual to be wrong about a character or two, but in this film, you're probably wrong about 90% of them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of fun to be completely wrong about who and what they are, and there are things along the way that you could probably I'm sure certain elements of the plot will be figured out, but there's even if I think even knowing but a lot of the kind of mystery elements or whatever,
Mhm.
I don't think that really impacts the film too much, in a negative way.
It didn't for me. It
Yeah,
really didn't. I mean, because a lot of it is watching everyone figure out the whys. Because a lot of the whats are easy and the who's are fairly easy. Um, there's only a couple of who's and why, or there's only a couple of who's that are hidden.
yeah,
But it's figuring out the whys that are fun. And even if you know them, it's always fun to watch the characters make those realizations.
yeah. I mean, because it's pretty clear early on that nobody is probably telling the whole truth.
Yeah.
But figuring out, well, okay, so what is the truth? But it's just the way they play off of each other, and the audience knows as much as really anybody knows in this, and sometimes they know more than some of the people that are on. So you're in on it the entire time, to a certain degree.
Yeah. And it just makes for really fun viewing. I did have a passing thought where you could take this script and shoot it as a comedy, and it would almost be okay.
You could probably figure out, yeah, to make it a satire. Um,
I mean, not
yeah.
Oscar level
No,
gangster
but I mean,
comedy, but
but because I mean, it is using the tropes of the genre, and the yes, they play, the way they play it, um, straight. But
Yeah.
could you do? Yeah, no, I think you could. Yes, I think you could have a. It would need to be a broad comedy, something a little overacted and over the top, a little melodramatic. Something for some reason I'm probably because they're remaking it, but Clue.
I was about to say it. That's what I was waiting. I was like, yeah, that's the one that would put me in mind of.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I mean, and you would almost have to go to that level of near mania.
Yeah. Well,
but it would still work.
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah, I think it could work.
Because somewhere wouldn't that be great to watch Mark Rylance do this as a comedy? I think that might be an interesting watch. But I'm glad we got this performance.
Well, and his next film actually is kind of a satire. It's a golf satire film that we'll see. And Phantom of the Open, I think Phantom of the Open.
Is that real? I think I saw a blurb for that, and I was like, that's got to be made up.
No, it's real. It's going to be out in June. But yeah, wow. Phantom of the Open, which feels like someone mistyped Phantom of the Open. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, it looks like it's kind of like a slapstick screwball sort of thing. So see how that goes.
Now I'm gonna watch it because I want to see what he does with it. So yeah, it opens tomorrow. It is rated R. Well, it is rated R.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little violence, there's a little language.
Yeah.
No nudity.
No nudity. No drugs.
And the violence really isn't that. I mean, for a gangster film, it's not.
It's not pervasive. There's just there's a couple of scenes and then you're done. But it's an R.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's not a hard R, but it's
no.
Yeah,
and it's only an hour and 45 minutes, which if you watched The Batman that's a commercial.
You could watch 2 of these.
So yeah, you could watch this twice and
one Batman.
Or one Batman, and you probably still have credits left in Batman. So well, almost. You almost have credits left in Batman. But no, so yeah, it's so I like I said, I'm gonna gush. I'm gonna gush about this film all year. I'm gonna gush about this performance all year. And I think rightly so. I hope it does well. I know The Batman is still in theaters, but it is also rated R. So it's not like this is a family alternative.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say.
It's not going to beat Batman. Let me just be clear.
But I think I hope that this is one that's going to require some word of mouth.
Yes.
It's kind of a, I don't know if it's a hard sell necessarily, but you're going to have to, it's going to have to work a little bit, and maybe that's on us.
Maybe that, and it is, and I will gladly do my part. I think by week 2, we'll see what word of mouth does. It won't surprise me if it opens low. But I'd like to think that might get it the word of mouth it needs to have a good week 2 or a nice hold, 80%, coming through. I want it to have a good week 1.
If the art house scene picks up on it,
which I could see,
then I think it will do reasonably well.
Right.
If people turn their nose up at it because it's a gangster film, that could be problematic. But yeah, it's an easy recommend. Absolutely. I mean, yeah,
100% on that is absolutely an easy recommend. What's we'll change gears here real quick. What's not an easy recommend? And that is another film that came out on Hulu last week. Ben Affleck, Ana de Armas, Deep Water.
Who I generally like both, actually. Yeah. But oh my gosh.
You want to sum up the plot if you can?
husband has wife who is very unfaithful and very obvious about it. Husband gets what? Husband is not happy about that.
As most husbands would be.
Husband may have killed people.
Yeah.
Because of their dalliances. Yeah.
And
people still date ridiculously attractive wife, even though everyone who dates ridiculous attractive wife disappears. Strangely,
So what's funny is that I had not heard of this film until, I mean, maybe I had heard it in passing at some point, but I hadn't like really heard about this film until like a month ago, when I saw an article somewhere where they were talking about this, about it never having seen the light of day, and it had been in the can for a couple of years. This was the film that they were making when Affleck was dating her, Anna de Armas. And I was like, they were dating, and I guess they were making a movie at the time.
And that just adds a really bizarre angle to it as well. I can't, just the fact that that yes, they were in fact dating during this. I don't know, that might be the only thing that's interesting about it, is wondering how many people Ben Affleck put in the grave while anyway.
Yeah. So this one, the Deep Water is also rated R, and it's rated R for sex
and violence.
Some violence, more sex than violence, truth be told.
Well, absolutely. Some language.
A lot of language. A lot of language. It's you described this as somebody was fooled them into thinking they were making a David Fincher film.
Yeah, it's I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Asylum studio. They did Sharknado, which is probably like the most legitimate film. Usually what they'll do is they'll make films that rip off whatever's in the. So they would I don't have any current examples because I haven't paid attention, but they'll do like monster versus giant lizard, and that would be their take on Godzilla versus, they designed the artwork of their covers to look close enough that you might actually get people who accidentally rent that. It was a Redbox thing. I don't know if Redbox is still a thing, but that's what they would do. They put their stuff in Redbox. And so this felt like the David Fincher version. Someone called up Ben Affleck and said, I'm doing a David Fincher film. But it's David P. Fincher. And they all signed on and didn't realize that they were in a B, C, or D grade version of a David Fincher thriller.
Was it me, or at the beginning did you get like American Psycho vibes?
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of but ultimately, it's just terrible. So
it's ultimately it is terrible. It's actually not the most terrible film that I've seen in the last week.
I haven't watched that.
And you have not watched it, and I'm telling you, don't watch it, because I'm writing my review up for it, so everyone watch for it. You'll know it when you read it. Trust me. I don't want to spoil it for you now, but yes, Deep Water, as bad as it is not the worst movie I've seen in the last week.
And I do have to say, I found one person who I highly respect who likes it up until the very ending. So
until the very ending, is that
until the end that kind of threw them, which apparently that is not the way the book ends. So, anyway,
it's just I don't know. It's like,
I think my problem was I hated everyone.
Right. There was literally no one likable.
And I just didn't, I didn't care. I guess that's the best way that I can kind of frame it, in that I just wanted the film to be over. The sooner the better. That was kind of how I felt about Deep Water.
So to be clear, this is not how the book ended. The book was written by Patricia Highsmith, who wrote Talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
Strangers on a Train. Carol. And apparently this thing that we're looking at.
Yeah, but maybe as a book, it reads better.
It could be.
I don't know.
And it could be. I guess it sure. But I don't know, man. I was just watching it. I was just like, and that's the thing about this is that yes, this movie is objectively a bad movie, but the whole time I was watching it, I was more just like, I don't care. I didn't care to watch it. I was just like, why am I even watching this? Because there's nothing. It wasn't particularly well acted. It wasn't particularly well shot. But it wasn't particularly badly shot. It wasn't particularly badly acted. It was just there, and it was all kind of nonsensical. And by the time it was done, I was like, well, that's over.
That's snails.
Snails. So
my favorite character is the guy who might as well just be, his every line of dialogue should be, dude, man. Oh, dude, man. Dude. I mean, almost, it's just, and I think you know who I mean.
It is what it is. It is kind of hot garbage is what it is. It's just not great. It's just not
story
great
of my life. Story of my life.
It's just not great, or dude?
No, dude, hot garbage.
Hot garbage.
I don't know.
I can't remember. Somebody was talking about some film or other, and I said, yeah, I said this film was hot garbage, and it wasn't even hot. That's how bad the film was, and I think that also applies here. The film is hot garbage, but it's not even hot. So it's just one of those films. It is on Hulu. It did sit on a shelf for a while.
I mean, sometimes you wonder why does a studio put something on, a streaming service rather than testing it out and putting it in a theater and just seeing what they could do. Well, hey.
Sometimes, what is it? You can't polish a turd. And I Mythbusters episode notwithstanding, I tend to agree with that in a general sense. So that is deep water. It is the 2 words. If you really want to look it up, don't look up deep water. 1 word, look up deep water 2 on Hulu if you really feel compelled to watch it. It's just doesn't even make any sense at all. It just doesn't. You can't even watch it just for the sex with Ana de Armas. That's the sad thing. It's not even worth watching it just for that. That's how terrible the movie is. It's just not worth it. It's not worth your time to get to those parts, because then she turns around and I don't know. It's just strange. It's just really freaking strange. Adrian Lin directed this. Flashdance, Indecent Proposal, Fatal Direction, or Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction, yeah.
But
he likes to do the.
But also one of my more favorite movies, which is Jacob's Ladder. So it's not that I dislike his work at all. I've kind of enjoyed it. 9.5 weeks. This is more 9.5 weeks than I think it is Fatal. Yes. Even more than Fatal Attraction. I think it's more 9.5 weeks. But yeah, so weird. He does not hit. This was his first movie in 20 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say in 20
released
years.
In 20 years. Well, he did Lolita in 97.
But there was
Unfaithful in 2002.
Yeah, Unfaithful with Diane Lane, I believe.
Yeah, he really does have issues with marriage.
Yes,
yes, he does. look at that filmography. He boy's got some marriage issues.
He might have some infidelity on the mind. I don't know, but yeah,
could be. But just there you go. Neither one of us is going to recommend this. We will recommend The Outfit, which we just talked about. But not so much Deep Water. No, it's a pretty hard pass on that one for me. So, as we talked about when we first started talking, it's getting busy in the theaters, which is really nice. We've got a new Sandra Bullock film coming out next week, and I'm not going to comment any further on that because I don't want to bias myself any more than I might be, any more than I might already be.
All I'm going to say is the poster for it is absolutely horrendously wonderful. And if they can capture just whatever it is they did with that theatrical poster in the movie, I might not complain.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay. Now you got me curious. I'm actually gonna have to go analyze the poster from that point of view. But we'll see. We're coming up on Morbius at the end of the month. Yeah. We've got lots of stuff coming. It's just
there's a film this week that I know that you haven't been able to see that you probably will like to see is X.
Is it going to be in theaters?
Yes,
it was a South by Southwest film.
Correct, but it's going to be in theaters this week.
This weekend or next week?
No, this weekend.
Oh, I might have to make a trip. That I'll be on the theater site right after we're done with this, seeing when I can go see it. It's
very much an exploitation film, but it's kind of like all of the exploitation films in one. It starts out as there's a little black exploitation. There's I don't know. There's just it's
it's got horror. It's got sex.
The horror. Well, yes. So there's because the essential story here is a group of amateur filmmakers decide they're going to go make a porn in the middle of a ultra conservative town in Texas, without telling the people that they're renting the property from. That's what they're going to be doing. The property happens to be right next to the house where these people live. Kind of hard to hide what you're doing. Things go crazy.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for it when it dropped a couple months back. They started teasing it for us, and I was just like, "Oh, I am 100% in, and I cannot wait." That's not. Is it? It's A24. It is A24. Yes, it is A24, which only adds to my excitement.
And they've already shot the prequel.
Oh, no kidding! Is it W?
And then they also have a sequel in the works. I don't know how much of this. What happened was they got stuck during the pandemic and said, "Well, we're here,
right?
Why don't we do a second movie?" And
what prequeled it up?
Yeah, and so things kind of went from there. Anyway, I don't know what that prequel is going to be exactly, to be honest with you. But
I don't know. Maybe they prequel the neighbors or the people they're renting from, as opposed to because I don't know. Yes, so I'm excited. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go watch, and I'm sure we'll talk about it next. So you have seen it.
Yeah.
So next week we are going to talk about X as early as humanly possible. I will tell you when I walk out of the theater, and I'll be probably like, whatever you want to talk about. That's on my list. But yeah, so we've got movies coming up. It is nice. They're out there coming. I saw, by the way, mild tangent, that we apparently now are actually going to get Top Gun this summer.
Yes.
Which we'll see how that, and if that's true, that means we should get 3 to 4 months later the new Mission Impossible.
Well,
if Tom Cruise releases one, he should release the other.
Well, that's not going to be till next year, I don't think.
Oh wow! I think I'd rather see that than the Top Gun sequel, but
I
could be wrong. I
think a lot of us would like, but
well, like I said, I love the last three. The last 3 Mission Impossibles is as good a action story arc as we've seen lately. So I'll be interested to see what we do with the next one, and I'll probably have to go back and at least rewatch the last one just to be like, oh yeah, that's what it was 8 years ago when we got that movie. And go from there. Yes, but it is nice. We have films and they're so good. And then we get Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
That's, oh my God. And right around Top Gun. No, it's May 6th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange is May, beginning of May. Top Gun's at the end of May. So we'll see how that shakes out. That'll be interesting. And then Morbius at the beginning of October, we get some Marvel, and then some Naval Aviators. We'll see. Yeah, be interesting. Well, interesting to see how that goes.
And don't forget, there's going to be some Obi-Wan in there.
Oh, that's right. Oh, and Moon Knight next week or 2 weeks on Disney Plus. We got Obi-Wan. We got Moon Knight.
I mean, there's a little bit of stuff and that's just the big obvious stuff.
Yeah,
there's
that is the big
little
obvious stuff. I'll be waiting to see the small unobvious stuff. So interesting.
Absolutely.
Ooh,
everything. What is it? Everything all at once, or
everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah,
that's not Salma. Michelle Yeoh.
No, Michelle Yeoh. Yeah, which I think comes out here in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
that's
was
the
a
one that
Sundance film.
No, it was South by Southwest as well.
Was it?
Yeah,
I sworn I saw that. Maybe it was. Thought I saw that. I didn't watch it regardless because I didn't watch South by Southwest. But I saw it. Maybe I just saw an email on it during Sundance. That's probably what it was.
It's supposed to be phenomenal. So
you know how I try not to read the articles, or based on some headlines that you can't avoid reading, it might be the weirdest, stupidest piece of garbage ever. But it's got Michelle Yeoh in it, so I'm willing to go in and watch it. And if it's a little wacky, I'm okay with that too. I'm totally okay with a little wacky.
They're talking about Babylon AD. That's the movie, and Michelle Yeoh was in it.
Yeah, that was not a great.
It was a terrible movie. Anyway, sorry, Vin Diesel. We'll
go watch Tales from the Southland. That'd be a great double feature we should do some weekends. Babylon AD and Tales from the Southland, and then we can just sit there. Anyway, that's an argument for another day. That's it. We're done. We are done. We have movies. We're going to talk about them. There are some we know that are good or are going to be good that are coming out. There are some that may or may not be good that are coming out. We've got some television that hopefully will be good.
Yeah.
And good stuff. It's fun to have stuff to actually watch, to talk about.
And then dinosaurs, big dinosaurs.
And oh my God, how can we forget about the giant dinosaurs? Did I tell you I went to the Jurassic Park Ranch while I was in Hawaii?
No.
We did. We took the Jurassic Park Adventure Tour where we saw the Indominus Rex pen with the big walls with big claw marks on the inside. Yes, it was very. They left that plywood set up. They don't cast concrete and then leave it in Hawaii. Hawaii doesn't like that. So very strange. I don't know why. They're just trying to preserve their natural beauty, I guess.
Is it because they already have enough concrete invested in whatever that train system thing is that they've been building for 100 years?
I don't know. I know there's a big concrete World War II bunker up there, though, that we got to go through, that they turned into a memorabilia repository on the ranch, which was kind of cool. But yeah, so I would be remiss, or we would be remiss, if we did not mention big giant dinosaurs. Because big giant dinosaurs. Who doesn't love big giant dinosaurs? And Jeff Goldblum, who's kind of a big giant dinosaur in many ways, but he's like the Sillysaurus. So, but that's okay. I can live with that. Lots, and almost an embarrassment of riches. It almost feels like a pre-pandemic year. Almost, not quite.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. We're very close. We're very close. But until we get back to full pre-pandemic, we are going to enjoy the riches that we have. So everyone out there, don't forget to like us, follow us on social media at VS Movie Podcast. You know the drill. If you're on YouTube, click subscribe. That would help as well. Leave us some feedback. Let us know what you think. If you got a movie you think we should watch that we missed, let us know, and we'll see if we can't fit that in as well. Till next time, stay safe, take care of yourself, go see a movie. There are plenty of good ones in the theaters right now. Check them out. I am Mark. That is Ryan. Bye, Ryan.
Hey, guys.
We'll talk to you all later.